Hello, welcome to today's daily drawing practice. We're going to be drawing Tahsim Durgun, who has written a wonderful book called Mama Bitte lern Deutsch. And I just finished listening to it a couple of days ago, and he reads it himself, and it's such a great, moving, important piece of storytelling. And I actually did, before I started doing the daily streams, I did a sketch of Tahsim, which maybe I can elegantly flip back to and show you. Hello Corinna, bonjour, kalimera, kia ora. Hello everyone who is watching. I would love you to say hello in your languages that you know. That would be a fun thing. Everyone say hello in the languages that you have accessible in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, do the same. Whenever I'm addressing you in the live chat, I'm also talking to the people watching the replay. So please, thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment. It's so great to be able to be here drawing together. Hi, Lewis. So yeah, let's have a look. I'll see if I can elegantly flip back to the first page of this sketchbook. There is, it wasn't live streamed. It was just a quiet evening zwischen den Jahren. And this is a drawing I did of Tahsim back then. I did it with the calligraphy pen. And today I'm going to use the parallel pen. So when I say the calligraphy pen, I'm talking about this one, the Herlitz pen, which has a finer line. Even the broader stroke is much finer than the parallel pen. But I'm going to work with the parallel pen today because I've been having a lot of fun with it. Cheryl, hi. Sabra, hello, Lisbeth. Luis, hola, y todos y todas. Martina, hallo Leute, bienvenue, ciao, hola, halli, hallo. Evening, everyone. It's so nice to hang out and draw together. So, Tahsim, how many of you speak German? I'm not sure if this book will be made available in English, but it's a very good book. Mama Bitte lern Deutsch. Tahsim is a very entertaining and wonderful influencer, I guess. Has quite a large Instagram following, TikTok following, and is funny and addresses a lot of important things. And also just talks about a lot of funny stuff as well. And it's really a pleasure to see and hear and experience what he has to share. And has anyone in the chat read or listened to the book yet, Mama Bitte lern Deutsch? It just came out this month and it's really good. Hi Linda, Klaus, Servus, Griasti, hello, Adam knows, hello, hi, greetings, howdy. Martina, wie geht's? Ich verstehe ein bisschen. Ein bisschen könnte reichen. All right, let's start drawing. Hi Kiki. So here I am, ink spread. Greta's over here. Tahsim is about to be here. I'm going to put on a 10-minute timer and see how far I get in 10 minutes. Yeah, so Tahsim, thank you for writing your book. It's really interesting hearing about the Kurdish Yazidi story of coming to Germany and being in Germany, and what's the Untertitel? Der Eingliederung in eine geschlossene Gesellschaft. So the book deals with racism and having to navigate the bureaucracy of Germany, and it's a very, very intense, kind of heavy topic, but it's communicated so just with so much, I don't know, compassion, realness. The stories of how Tahsim grew up. There's a lot of funny stories in there, and it's really it's a wonderful book. I'm going to try and do something. Continuous autofocus so that my My drawing doesn't keep going out of focus, but it may focus on my hand. Um, so for those who are not yet familiar with Tahsim, and it was something I'm not sure. I think Lisa, if you're watching this, I think maybe you shared something of his a while back, and it was just so funny and so good. And he's also been talking about a lot about the rise of the far right AfD party in Germany, and um, yeah, just addressing a lot of important stuff in society with a wonderful kind of openness and humor, and it's a very I feel like it's a very good way to approach such issues, because there is there's a wonderful love and compassion that comes through in the face of like having to deal with so much garbage, I guess. It was interesting. I was chatting with some friends today. We have some wonderful friends here who are Kurdish, Yazidi, and it wasn't until I first moved to Europe, which was in 2004, that I even knew about Kurdistan. Growing up in so-called Australia, I feel like how I grew up, I felt very far removed from the rest of the world, just in my understanding of other places, geopolitics for sure, no idea. And I had the pleasure of working with a wonderful Kurdish guy who filled me in on all the things I didn't know about Kurdistan and the oppression, the genocide, the dispossession of the Kurdish people. And I've had the pleasure of meeting some really wonderful Kurdish people, and it was really interesting to hear the story told from Tahsim's perspective. How's everyone doing? So, a very interesting experience I had, because I wonder a lot about. I spent a lot of time thinking about empires and colonialism and extractionism and oppression, and like there's just so much of this stuff going on, and just recently, like in recent years, I guess I've talked about it a bit. I think when we drew Yusuf Kash, the Armenian Canadian photographer. I remember I had been learning a bit about the Yazidi, and was really interested in like, what is like this area of the world, and it's the Kurdish people were like, it's a former Assyrian empire, so Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria was after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. It was split into these different countries, and bug. And with the division, like I guess all this kind of drawing of national borders and stuff, some of it seems pretty, arbitrary. There are groups of people that existed together for so long, and then they decide, this is going to be a different place, this is a different place, and with that there was this split of this land inhabited by Kurdish people. And Yusuf Kash was Armenian and from Diyarbakir, and my friends also from there. And so I was like just trying to learn a bit more about the area, and it was very, very interesting. because I was just talking to my friend today, and that's why I thought, I've got to draw Tahsim and talk about this book and talk about this story. And he says near Diyarbakir, where he was from, that his village was a Yazidi village, and then there were 3 Christian villages nearby, and on the other side there was a Muslim village, and in the cities everyone lived together. And this is what I've heard from many regions where there's a lot of conflict, and there's this strong sense of nationalism or a political identity, religious identity, that there used to be a time when it seemed like that there was more, people just kind of, did their thing. And maybe, I wonder what has led to this strong sense of division, and dominance of certain groups, because it doesn't seem very good to me. There's a lot of suffering that has been inflicted upon a lot of people, and a lot of death and dispossession, and it'd be nice to think that it's just not necessary, And so I worked with this wonderful guy when I first lived in Belgium, in Europe, and he was telling me just about like what it meant to be a oppressed people. The growing up in Turkey, and I have wonderful Turkish friends, and it's never about like the individual people. There's this, there's these weird systems in place that just it somehow seems important to them to put certain groups down. Because I remember I went to visit my friend in Turkey, and after we were there and we were looking at the map of Turkey and super interested to learn stuff, being a new country. Oh, it's so interesting. And I remember back to my friend that I had made in Belgium, and I asked my Turkish friend, I was like, oh, where's Kurdistan? And he got so angry, and he was such a lovely, heartfelt person, and he got like, it was intense. He was like, there is no Kurdistan, look at the map, it doesn't exist. And he was just so angry about it, and I was like, whoa. It was just a curious question. Like, I was just interested to know where this person I had met came from, and then to be confronted with such a intense, from a beautiful, loving, welcoming person to me, to just like have that contrast of such an intense anger at just this mention of a word, and this sense of what does it even mean, to have a cultural identity, a national identity. It's just experiencing how wonderful people can then switch into this mode of intolerance and anger. It left an impression on me to be there. And then after that, as he he settled down, and then we went out for a walk in Istanbul, and he was like, hey, let's go get some Kurdish food. And so it's still, it is somehow it's part of the, there's a lot about it I don't understand. And I would just I would like to see people, get along, not be oppressed, be accepted, and be able to do their thing together, or do their thing apart, but just to exist in the same realm, and everyone kind of do things to the best of their ability, rather than be, have situations made so unbearable that families have to leave their homelands and then come to another country and try to figure things out, and then to just face more othering. And that's something, it was really interesting in the book Mama Bitte lernt Deutsch, about that that experience of being here. I don't even know if I put my timer on. Being in Germany, That was probably about 10 minutes. Oh, my battery's flat on my timer. Okay. Um, yeah, and so it was really eye opening for me to work with this Kurdish guy and just to learn a bit of the story, um, and then I remember it was all that was a phase of my life where I had just like I had left Australia with 21 years old, and I was living with um, a wonderful Belgian family, and I remember just like it was just left such an impression on me to hear the stories of the oppression of the Kurdish people, and then I remember having this conversation with I was living with my ex-girlfriend's family. She wasn't my ex at the time, but my Belgian girlfriend. And I remember having this conversation, and her father was saying, "Oh yeah, these people who come, they come from other countries, and then they don't learn our language, and they don't integrate, and it just brought up what I had just learnt from my friend and a colleague that I was working with, and I was like, wow, but these people, they could have been murdered in their homeland for speaking their language, and so when they come here and they hang out in the park and you hear them speaking their language, like it's a blessing and a freedom to be able to speak their language. And this is a thing when people don't, I guess there's a lot of fear. People don't understand, and they would like to be able to understand what they hear. Although why should they? Because it's not their conversation. But there obviously is, and it's a big thing that's happening in Germany now and in many countries with the rise of these far right parties. And something I noticed in Australia as well. Every time elections came around, like immigration was always a topic, and I felt like it all through my youth that every 4 years when elections came around, suddenly immigration and refugees would become a big topic, and it was so strange to me that why what's the deal? This country which has been settled and colonized of people who come from far away, to then suddenly be like these other people looking for safety, looking for somewhere to go, that why should they not be welcome? And then the intolerance that some of these people unfortunately experience, that's their reality. To realize what they may have lived through or escaped, to come to somewhere where their life and their family is not threatened, and then to have I can't even imagine that, like to go somewhere and then have the freedom to be able to speak your language and not be not have a fear of punishment. But then I guess there is, in some weird way, maybe some societal punishment of like people being like afraid and not wanting people to speak their own languages and stuff. It's I just felt like, because I was talking to my girlfriend's dad, and he was like, oh, but they need to integrate, they need to learn our language, and it's and that was interesting in the book Mama bitte lern Deutsch. I won't tell you all the spoiler of it, but just to hear from that perspective of if you check out any of Tahsim's stuff, you'll see how like he spent his youth being the translator for his mum, who couldn't understand a lot of stuff just in everyday surroundings, and then to gain some kind of understanding for why maybe they don't have the context, the accessibility there to be able to learn, because they're for whatever reason, that for some people it's harder, or they're at home taking care of the family and can't get to courses or whatever, however it is. I just feel like it's really valuable to gain some kind of insight and understanding to for many people. And I feel like many people who are afraid or unsure, like my ex-girlfriend's dad, like if they had more of an encounter with like directly were able to interact with people who've be able to share their story, which I had the benefit of learning from my co-worker. Like it could just totally change the perspective. So that's why this book is like such a wonderful, important book, and it became the German #1 bestseller in the space of a couple of weeks. So it's great. I'm really glad that it's so well received and so many people are able to partake in his like heavy and joyful and humorous and loving stories. It's just so well presented, and I really have a great respect for Tahsim and what he's been able to convey. So that's my book recommendation for today, everyone. What have people been saying? Isidore Arthur, bonsoir à tous les amis. I don't know about my pronunciation, but et les autres, mais surtout les amis. Et aussi Danny. It's really deep, collective, and generational trauma for them. Yes. Oh, it's Sabra. Yeah. It's so intense. Hi June. G'day. Strange time today. I know I did pretty well at it always being 9 for a while, June. And then things happened, daylight savings, so many things happened. And daylight savings is going to start here. It started over in North America, I guess. And then we were out of sync, and then I was not able to get my kids in bed in time, and so things have changed, and it's going to be interesting once it's daylight savings here to see how things go. But it's flexible. There are replays. I'm just happy for everyone who's able to join in the fun, and for those who can't be here live, it's great if you can watch the replay. Speaking of that, if you're watching the replay, it's so good to have you here. It's so good to have you all live here as well. I have a Discord server where I share the daily reference, and I'd love you to join it. More and more people have joined. We're now well over 300 people in the Discord server, and it's great seeing people sharing their work there, sharing their insights on different materials. Speaking of different materials, Sabra just did a live stream. What was it? Earth Green was today's pigment. I'm very excited to catch the replay. So cool. Sabra's doing this Earth Pigment live stream series at the moment on Wednesdays. And everyone can go check out and learn about Sabra's experience of these wonderful earthen pigments. And Sabra says the whole obsession with integration is just the colonial thinking, like work from home colonialism. Okay, Corinna, you look for Mama bitte lernen Deutsch. I guess it would be Mama please learn German. But it's only been out for less than a month. So I hope that there will be an English translation. I wonder, the audiobook is so good, and Tahsim reads it. So knowing him from TikTok and Instagram, it's so nice to hear his voice, reading his own story. Yeah, but I hope it would be so good if there is an English adaptation. That would be so nice. But yeah, back to what you said, Sabra, the obsession with integration. Yeah. And what is the integration anyway, especially in countries? Well, I don't know, the whole thing is like this construct of there being one kind of identity, one sense of this national identity that people somehow have to assimilate into, like the whole thing of life, like in nature as well. Life flourishes with diversity and cultures, the exchange and intermingling, and like a place also thrives from the difference. like a monoculture is like a monoculture crops are prone to sickness, and you can see these things like reflected in nature. Just think biodiversity. It is fertile ground for resilience and coexistence of. I'm like just thinking in the natural world, and we, whether we like it or not, are part of the natural world, and yeah, what is there to integrate into, because what already exists is there are so many different aspects. Like just thinking of Germany, like there are all these different regions of Germany. So much has happened here historically as well. Like what does it even mean? Like to integrate and adapt. I don't know, because like it's just so wonderful to have people with their different experiences and different dishes that they can bring to parties, different songs that they can share. Like there's such a wealth of experience to be shared. And yeah, it's interesting, yeah, that term, the obsession with integration. And particularly in countries like the States, Australia, which colonized countries that are built on genocide, but then was a phase of like, hey, everyone from everywhere can come and like make a place for themselves in this country that we've stolen. And there is this certain element of a richness of exchange, and so many different cultures, and there are different like waves of immigration in the history of Australia, where people came from different regions of the planet, and sadly at the expense of the first peoples. Like even that, I think that there could be a way where it's like, oh wow, this is an incredible place, and we really appreciate what you have, and to offer some kind of equal exchange, or to realize with respect, like we would be honored to be able to live here with you. Like I wonder if there's some kind of way of reimagining the whole colonial mess that has been made. Yeah, and maybe just through reimagining things could help to think of ways of how things could be changed, improved for the future. June says, my husband has often said I should write a book about my teaching English as a second language experiences in Canada. Yeah, I had a long career doing that, and it was most rewarding. That would be super interesting to hear. Martina says, I agree it takes understanding in order to get a glimpse into another person's perspective. I've found that it's different learning different languages. It's hard conversing versus reading. Yeah, totally. Linda's sharing some love for Sabra's live stream. Another variation of painting with dirt. So good. I love that idea of painting with dirt. Martina, you may be able to understand what someone in a different language is saying, but it's so much more harder being able to respond without feeling judged or not being able to properly express yourself. Yeah, when I learned German, I realized I would be in social settings where I would be trying to talk, and I was just like, I just can't express what I want to say. I can't articulate myself. And I've been here a while, and I've learned, but knowing that I have the capacity for a certain degree of expression, and to be in a context where it's like I have to wind back what I want to say, because I just don't have the ability to say it. And what's moving and working within me is to then just not be able to share it in a conversation. There's like I remember so much that feeling of like I just don't feel as articulate in this other language that I'm learning, and had like the good fortune to be able to learn. But yeah, went through these phase of just like, oh wow, there are things I have to contribute, and I just cannot. I just don't have the ability to share my thoughts in this new language. So yeah, there's a real But then there's things. Oh, then I just think, just the experience of like sharing music, and finding some way to have some kind of cultural exchange, that can be really rewarding and healing. And it speaks in a way, even if you don't understand the language, just to see people being creative and passionate, and to have their stories and love and life like through music, like that is such a wonderful experience that just transcends language. Like I wonder if people could, and I guess that is a kind of cultural setting, and often within music or within art, people are able to get a glimpse into another world where that limitation of language becomes like takes a back seat, because there's just a directness to understanding that creative expression. And if people are open to experiencing these different things, that can also just be like there's so much music which I just like. I feel I'm so moved by, even though I don't know what is being communicated. How there's something that just comes through in sound, in song, even without lyrics. Like having a free exchange of that kind of creative, cultural richness, like that's even a step. And then maybe as people start to learn words and languages, perhaps it deepens into another kind of exchange. But I wonder if there could be more place for I guess that's the importance of like cultural spaces and shared spaces, where people can have the freedom of expression to be able to share things in such a way. And Karina says, if their country is stolen, where are they supposed to go? Psha. Shit. Totally shit. Adam needs to go. Thanks for sharing this photo and story. Thank you for being here, Adam. And if you've made it this far, I'm pretty much done as well. So you could put your drawing hand emoji in the chat. Thank you, Adam. And then I know that you made it all the way to the end of this live stream. June says, I always tell my students not to worry about that. If someone judges you, it's their problem, not yours. I really stress that. Yeah. Yes. Like whatever judgment comes from someone it's a reflection of themselves. And so it'd be nice to to be able to cultivate an understanding of it being their issue, although the person being judged may feel real world consequences of that. But yeah, the fear and intolerance that's like definitely with the person who's casting that fear and intolerance into the world, that just to live in a sense of that kind of anguish and fear is that is its own form of suffering. Be nice not to push it and inflict it onto others. Be nice somehow if people could somehow collectively deal with their fears. Fear is valid. People have fear. They need to somehow learn to be or to move or to change in a way which is not harmful to themselves or others. That would be the best, I think. Thank you for all those drawing hands. Thank you for being here. The Angel Cat has returned. Such a great username. Karina said, it's so important that we stand up against bullies. Yes, they're empowered by the silence of good people. Yes. Rachel, thank you for the interesting things to consider, as well as the drawing tonight. Thank you for being here and listening. Thank you for considering with me. Thank you for drawing Tahsim with me. A few things off in the likeness, but I like the drawing. So that's how it is today. Yes, it is important to not be silent, and and to be like, hey, that's not okay. That's not fair, and it's not true, and that's not okay. And then to be able to say, hey, that's not okay. You know, stealing is not okay. Murdering is not okay. These people just want to live their lives. Let them live their lives. Please, no genocide, no theft. Yeah, so that's the thing. There are big bullies active in the world. And I think most people are not big bullies. But there is a strong force of bulliness. And just there was some amazing quote and turn of phrase I heard yesterday. I may have written it somewhere. Where's my paper? Where are my notes about good people? I think it was something like, what good can people do? Turned around to, what are good people doing? And it was just such a wonderful, just reshuffling of words. And because there are so many people doing so much good. And in the face of the heaviness. And what are those good people doing? What can be done? It is important to be active. And to... I don't know. I don't have the quote directly written here, but it was a good one. But that was the essence of it, basically. So I don't know. I have too much paper, too much floating around here. Cindy, you're welcome for the recommendation of the book, Mama Bitte Lern Deutsch. I recommend it, and the audiobook, if you enjoy listening to audiobooks, is wonderful. Just hearing Tahsim read his own story is really great. Hasta mañana, amigos, dibujantes. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, Sabra. Thank you, June. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who's here. Let's do this again tomorrow, shall we? I would love to draw with you tomorrow and every day. Thank you, dear friends.